Hey everybody, in this video we're going to learn how to secure our containerized applications with a service mesh, and in this video we're going to be utilizing Linkerd. So first things first, I'm just going to check out my cluster here. Notice how I have 3 worker nodes. I'm running in AKS, Kubernetes version 1.26.0. Now if you're running in GKE, EKS, totally doesn't matter. I just so happen to be running in Azure. However, you could be running anywhere you'd like. So first things first, we're going to need an application to utilize, and we're going to be using the Sock Shop demo app, and it has a bunch of different microservices, a bunch of different pods in it. So it's a really good use case in terms of having a demo app available. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clone that demo app. Next, I'm going to cd into microservices demo. Notice here how I have a deploy directory, so I'm going to cd into that. And then we can either deploy via Docker Compose or Kubernetes. We're going to deploy via Kubernetes. And before we deploy our application, I'm just going to create a namespace for our application to exist in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call it Sock Shop. And we can just do a quick kubectl get ns, and we can see that we have that Sock Shop namespace. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy the full application. All right, and notice here it's deploying a lot of stuff. So if we just go ahead and we run kubectl get deployments namespace sock shop, these aren't ready yet because it takes a little bit for all the applications to come up, but notice here how there are a lot of apps here. So let's go ahead and clear our screen. All right, so now that our application is deployed, let's go ahead and get our service mesh deployed. Now first things first, you're going to want to install the Linkerd CLI. And you can go ahead and you can run this command on line 15. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to rerun it, but if it's your first time running it, you should do it on your machine. All right, now once you have it deployed, you're just gonna want to put the Linkerd CLI on your path, right? And now I can go ahead and I can run the Linkerd command, and we see that it exists. Now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna run this Linkerd check pre command, and what that's gonna do for us is that's gonna scan our Kubernetes cluster and ensure that it's ready to accept a service mesh. All right, so notice here how we are all good. It's running the minimum Kubernetes version, running the minimum kubectl version, can query the Kubernetes API, can create service counts, etc. So a lot of information is needed for deploying a service mesh, and we can see here that Linkerd gave us the thumbs up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to install the Linkerd CRDs, and we're going to do that with the Linkerd install --CRD command, and then with a kubectl apply at the end. Now notice here how it creates a few different things for us, primarily around authentication. Go ahead and clear the screen. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to install Linkerd itself. All right, and as you can see, again, it creates a bunch of different stuff. We can go ahead and we can run kubectl get ns. We have that Linkerd namespace here. So if we run kubectl get all namespace Linkerd, all right, we can see it's still coming up because there's a lot of stuff in here, various services, pods, etc. But that should be up in a few minutes for us. Alrighty, and we can now see that everything is up. The identity, the proxy, all of the services, everything is good to go. So now I believe we can run the Linkerd, I think it's the check command. Let's see. Yep. So if we run that check command, Linkerd check, it's going to go through. It's going to make sure that everything looks good in terms of the installation. So we have the green check marks all over, and we are officially good to go with our service mesh. Now the last thing that we want to do for the installation is we want to install Viz. Now Viz is a Linkerd dashboard. So it's going to give us the ability to see from a visual and UI perspective what our service meshed applications look like. So if we run kubectl get namespace, we'll see a new one for Linkerd Viz. We'll run kubectl get service namespace Linkerd Viz. All right, and we can see that web one right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run kubectl port forward namespace Linkerd Viz service web 8084 over 8084. Oh, sorry. Put a colon there that wasn't supposed to be there. All right, so now let's go ahead and head over to the web browser really quick. All right, and we're going to go to this URL, and we can now see Linkerd is up and running. So if we just go to the sock shop namespace, all right, and if we look at our pods, we can see that 0 out of 1 are meshed. Now, why is that? Well, all of our pods are here, but the service mesh sidecar is not running inside of our pods. So to do that, what we want to do is we're going to run this kubectl get deploy command, which essentially what it's going to do is it's going to get our deployment via YAML, just the text-based output, and then it's going to inject the Linkerd sidecar into the deployments. That way, we're now going to be running sidecars. So we're going to have one container for our application. The other container running in the pod is going to be for Linkerd. So let's go ahead and run that. And one thing we're going to have to do is we're just going to, because we're opening up a new terminal, so we're going to have to export or put Linkerd CLI on our path. Let's go ahead and run that again. All right, and as you can see, these were redeployed for us. Well, reconfigured rather, with the service mesh sidecar. So if we head back to the browser, we should now see, I didn't even have to refresh, it's just doing it for us automatically. We can now see 1 out of 1, 1 out of 1, 1 out of 1, and some of the other pods are still running in terms of getting meshed and all that, but we can see all of this information is now popping up for us. So we are officially meshed. Our sock shop application now has the Linkerd sidecar running as a container inside of our pods, and we can now ensure MTLS, so east-west traffic, is encrypted. We can see all the success rates, we can see any latency, and we are now up and running officially with Linkerd as our service mesh.